Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate. And good morning to all my South Shore neighbors. This is Sharon McNamara. You are, of course, listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. And we are in our new studio here at Boston Connect Real Estate. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have Melissa with me, of course. She is my sidekick here every Saturday morning as my co-host on Talk Real Estate Roundtable. And she is our everything here at Boston Connect Real Estate. Of course, that means Director of Operations and Agent Relations and all the important stuff that happens here. So good morning.
Good morning. What an intro.
Yeah, that is an intro. And of course we have Tim McKinney. Hello. How are you?
Good morning. I'm here.
You're here. We're all here.
We're ready to go.
All here in our places with bright, shiny faces.
Yeah.
It's not bright and shiny outside today, though.
But we have bright, shiny faces, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. You could be a rapper. We'd prove that over at Christmas time anyways. Yeah, it was sort of weird to the weather
It was really weird. As soon as, so I live in Halifax and it was raining, and then it was almost like as soon as I hit the Pembroke line, it started to snow.
Yeah, it was like sleety, slushy.
Yeah,
So be careful out there, because I'm wondering, I'm sure if we paid attention earlier, we would have heard the news and it would have told us if.
Well, I knew that it was going to be a little bit slippery, but my mom texted me before I even left my house and said, just be careful because it's slippery out there. So
to all our listeners, be careful if you're out there. Yeah, maybe a better idea is just to stay home, cuddled up in bed and or on the couch and listen to us for the next hour.
Yeah. Listen to us.
Yeah.
Because we have such soothing voices. And everybody loves us, right?
David Allen.
Talk real estate magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sharon and Melissa.
Yeah, I like it. I like that. Real estate magic.
Real estate magic.
I kind of stole that from somebody else.
Yeah. Midnight.
Anyway, yeah.
Midnight magic. Yeah. We might have some copyright issues over here, but
Yeah, I know.
I think Mr.
we're
Boucher
amongst
would mind.
friends.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
It's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
David,
absolutely.
do you even remember David Allen Boucher?
I've heard him a little bit. A friend, actually an ex, told me about him first, and I thought he was made up, and then I listened, like, oh, he really does do that.
Yeah, David Allen Boucher.
Joggers this morning, 40 degrees and a light breeze.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So what's our topic today?
So we say this all the time on the show, but we come up with these topics based off of real life scenarios. So yesterday we had our January office meetings. We try to get together as an office once a month. Of course, busy schedules and everybody's working, which is good. Not everybody can either attend or we don't do one every month, but we try to. So yesterday was our January. It's our first one of the year. Excuse me, I have a frog. And we just sort of talked about really everything that's been going on since the last time that we met. And so a common theme that we saw or heard yesterday was some stories. And, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but, next week we are doing a roundtable discussion. Again, we try to do one of those once a week. And every year we do this roundtable discussion of something that you learned in a transaction the year before. What went wrong, what went well, what is a lesson that you learned, what could you done differently, and sort of brainstorm with each other. And so we can learn from each other. And one of the themes that we were hearing yesterday was professionalism and full time. And, it just sort of made us realize that maybe we should be talking about this on the radio show. And I'm calling it the Realtor Advantage. So why full-time professionals make all the difference. And it was one of our agents, I won't call her out, but it was one of our agents that sat at our meeting yesterday and said, I immediately knew that they did not do this full time. And I immediately knew that it was going to be a little bit difficult, and it was. So I thought it was interesting that, again, they immediately knew that somebody did not do this full time. And there is a difference.
Oh, there definitely is a difference. And that's one of the things, and it's interesting because we're talking about one of my favorite things to do is that panel that we do at the beginning of the year, talking about the year before. And agents who, you know, after COVID, I think a lot of things changed in a lot of different offices where, you know, people weren't coming into the office as much. They had their home offices all set up. I would say that, I mean, for us, we've always only really done our office meetings once a month. The way I felt about that was, you know, I don't see the need to bring agents away from what they're doing in order for me to sit there and talk. I'd rather talk longer once a month versus having them being required to come in, you know, once a week. And
I'm just thinking of the meme that's like, this could have been an email. Yeah, like we don't ever, and I say this, we don't ever want to waste anybody's time, whether it's another agent, it's a client, it's, you know, another professional in this industry. We never want to waste anybody's time. So, you know, with these meetings, sometimes it can be an email, and it is an email.
Yep, absolutely. But one of the things that I was recognizing too before, and I've been doing, you know, looking at top producers from last year and, you know, our top producers throughout the years, you know, thinking about them. And I came up with this new thing called the osmosis effect. So like that's going to be, you know, a class and a training that we're going to be putting together here at the office. And we really do feel that learning from each other is the best advantage that we have. And that's where yesterday's, you know, meeting when, you know, our agent was telling us about her experience. And not only was it the agent that she was working with, but what was I going to say is
Agents were showing her property.
Yeah, agents that were showing her property. She said that there were like 6 different people, and they weren't even, they were sending her emails from their full-time job email address. I mean, that's telltale.
Yeah.
You know, like Joe Smith from, I don't even know, think of something. StateStreet.com.
My mind immediately goes to coverage, and what if something were to happen and something got hacked, and, you know, you're not covered. You know, so, but that's sort of where my mind goes. But yeah, she talked about, you know, even the showings or the offers that she received that just were, you could just tell that was not something that they did full time, and it was because it wasn't complete, and that's a total disservice to their client.
That's the thing that's so upsetting to me, is that it is a disservice to the buyer, but it's also a waste of time of the seller and the seller's agent, you know. And I think, you know, hey, we were all green at one point, right? And, you know, it takes that other agent, you know, to be patient with you as you are learning in this industry. But I also think that if you're out of your realm of what you should be doing, then you shouldn't be doing it. And, you know, there's a lot of money on the line. And, you know, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago about, you know, where does people's escrow money go, and is it safe? Is it secure? And, you know, the precautions that we're always taking in order to make sure that they are. I think that this is very similar. You know, just because, you know, your cousin has his real estate license, it doesn't mean that he should be practicing.
Just to get back to your point about, you know, we were all green at one point. That's why it's so important that when you do get your real estate license, you interview at multiple companies, because you how do I say this? You take the course to pass the test, and then you sort of learn
use riparian rights. That's what I always say.
Yeah. So, you know, you have to sort of land somewhere that is going to give you that, you know, service that you need, and it's going to give you that training that you need. I mean, I just think of the time that somebody joined our office and had never even used a agency disclosure. Didn't even know what an agency disclosure was, and yet they learned that here. They learned the importance of an agency disclosure.
And they've been in the business for a couple of years, which
Yeah.
is even more frightening, you know?
So it matters where you land, and it matters, you know, the team that you have. I love when Matt Mahoney, who's a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate, when he meets with his, you know, clients or potential clients, he always says, I have a team of 30, you know, because we're all a team. And there's not one person, I can't think of one person that is a part of our company that wouldn't help another one of us. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out.
Good point. Good point. Excuse me. Yeah. So with that situation too, with that other agent, you know, with our agent telling us about that. And then I had recently come across something, and, you know, I don't have the full details. All I know is that it was a story that was told to me. I wasn't their buyer's agent. No one here was their buyer's agent. And it was somebody that I had met, you know, a long time ago. And, you know, I was listening to their story, and excuse me, they purchased another home. And, you know, they're getting ready to maybe, you know, put that on the market. And I was talking to them about that, and they just were saying, you know, the lifestyle that we want, you know, the kids are grown, and, you know, we don't want that lifestyle, you know, anymore. We decided that we just don't need this big house, and we want to sort of take things, you know, simplify life, which, hey, I'm all for. And they were told that they didn't qualify for a 30-year mortgage, and they were put into a 15-year mortgage.
Yeah.
And now the mortgage is extremely high, which is probably why they're feeling the pressure of, you know what, I just want to live more simply. You know what I mean?
And how can you live more simply when your payment is so high?
I know.
I mean, when you told me what, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think, like, how do you even, how,
Yeah.
how?
I know. Uh-huh.
That's my question. How?
I'm responsible for 3 different mortgages: my house, this building, and the 2-family. And their one was more than all 3 of mine combined. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, almost. But still, I have 3.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. But then for me, immediately, I was like, did you have a buyer's agent when you purchased? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, where did you find this
that.
loan officer? Like, did they refer the loan officer? And they were like, no, it was vice versa. So they went to an online program for a loan, and that organization, because they sell leads, that's what they do. That's what we should talk about today.
Yeah.
Be careful of that stuff. They sell leads, and that's how they were introduced to the agent that they were using. So it's interesting to me because they're not calling that agent back, right?
Yeah.
And I just said, you know, that's the importance of, and when I came back and I was telling you the story, I just felt so bad for them, you know, and I was like, I mean, that is, and the thing is it's so hard. I come onto the radio show. We talk a lot in the office. That's the other thing, my osmosis effect. It's like being in the office and hanging out with each other. You're learning from each other. You're hearing these stories from each other. It just makes us stronger agents. And when I was telling you the story, I was like, it's so unfortunate because things would have been so different for them if they had hired a full-time agent. I'm not even saying it would be me.
Yeah.
But if it were me, I mean, they called me. I most certainly would have, even if they had told me who their loan, like, oh, we're using this online, you know, going to the moon company.
Yeah.
I would have said,
Going to the moon. I caught on to that.
you caught it. Yeah. Going to the moon mortgage company. I would have said, you know what? That's really that's really a marketing company.
Yeah.
And they're selling leads off to loan officers. And that's another thing too. I mean, the agents who are buying these leads only tells me that you're not getting leads of your own.
Not generating your own
Not
business.
generating your own business. Yeah. I hate to call anything a lead, but you know, that's what they sell them. That's what they call them.
Yeah.
But I would have referred them to one of the many great loan officers that we are familiar with. And things might have been different for them.
Yeah. I know. I just, these stories, and we learn these stories from being in the office and being engaged with, you know, what's going on. And I was like, oh, we got to help these people. We got to get them to be more stable somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. And the shame of it is, they've only been in the house a short time. So, what is the equity of that, So we'll see if all of that will work out for them. But again, that's one of the instances of why you should have a full-time professional real estate agent.
Well, getting back to the full-time part, I just remember when I was helping you and Mary out at the end of the year, there was a purchase and sales that needed to be signed. It was your listing. The buyers typically signed first, but the buyer's agent did not do this full-time and had a full-time job that was not real estate. And he had said, okay, I can send it to them when I get out of work. Well, when he got out of work, it was 10 p.m. It was going to be 10 p.m.
Yeah, so why should we be working at 10 p.m. because you have another job? Hey, if you want to share your benefits with me, I'll be up at 10 p.m. answering your phone call, okay?
Yeah. So I said, would you mind if I sent it to them directly? And he said, oh, yeah, absolutely. That would be really helpful because I wasn't going to allow your client to have to wait for so long to sign something just because he had another job.
Yeah, but
working together.
And I'm going to sound a little nasty right now, but let me just do it. No, because let's think this through. Because right now I'm sitting back as if we are literally sitting at my my table and we're just having coffee. I do have to do something about the echo in here. I think we'll have to have Mark put some stuff up on the ceiling.
I'm sure he'll love that.
He'll love it. If he doesn't want to, I'll do it.
Yeah, a little more echo deadening would be good.
Yeah.
I know you have carpet, but the wood floors and the kind of empty walls can still make it bounce around.
Yes, it is. I can hear it.
Got some Tigger sound in there.
Yep. So we'll make sure that I have a bunch of stuff that we can take care of that. So next week it will be perfect. But Mel, let's get back to this. All right, you come from a soft spot in your heart. It's how I feel about like the runt of the litter when I'm picking out a puppy, right?
That's how you got Marley.
That's how I have Marley, right? I have a soft spot in my heart for the underdog. So I think it's commendable of you that you didn't want the other agent's client to have to wait for their agent to get out of work and sign the paperwork.
Well, I more so didn't want your client to have to wait. Yeah. So it was everybody.
Yeah.
And I did not want to wait until midnight. But on the other end, I did have to, because I don't know if the other, transaction or thing that we were working on, if they were working full time, but they didn't get over till 11:30 at night.
Yeah. So, but
does that even work during the day?
Well, this is my point, though. Like, I think that it's to us to let's just keep it real right now. Is it fair if you are, you're using one of these companies that's, not full time, they're not, I'm going to give you a discount, I'm going to give you this much back. Guess what? You get what you pay for, period, amen. Everybody's heard that phrase. It's been around forever. I didn't make it up. So people should realize that, right?
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. But you know what? That saying, I have to come up with a different one, but it's like poor planning on your part doesn't constitute emergency on mine. Or you're agreed to get some type of a discount back from a discounted broker who's working a full-time job somewhere else that isn't paying attention to the periods and the crossing the T's. Isn't my problem.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be my problem. It shouldn't be my client's problem either. It isn't fair to everybody else.
Yeah.
So guess what? You should have to wait. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That was fiery.
Yeah. And honestly, I had felt comfortable asking him because we use this program called Deposit Link sometimes, and he didn't have the time to send a link to his client to allow them to make deposits for into escrow. And I think we talked a little bit about Deposit Link when we did our escrow show. So he couldn't figure it out. He didn't have the time, so he asked me if I would do it, and so I asked for permission to send the purchases. Hello, can we get this rolling?
But it's sort of irritating, and I'd like to actually talk to the agents that are doing it.
Yeah.
And two, you know what? Attorneys, you're no better. I'm sorry. This is how I feel about attorneys, and I made one. So she doesn't practice real estate. Casey actually had her real estate license before she became an attorney, but in the state of Massachusetts, every attorney is automatically considered a broker when they pass the bar. They just have to sign these, papers or whatever. But I'll never, ever, ever forget the time when I was doing a transaction and it was an attorney on the other side said, would you be willing to reduce your commission in order for this to, this transaction to come together? And I was like, I don't understand, what you're actually asking me. Like, I was sort of like dumbfounded. And she's like, well, I do real estate to supplement my law practice. So I'm willing to reduce my commission in order to make this work. Are you willing to match that? And I said, no, because I don't have a law firm to, substitute, to fall back on my real estate career.
Yeah.
Yeah, to supplement. I don't have a law practice to supplement my real estate career.
Yeah. Just, to
But again,
coincide with my hobby of real estate.
Again, if you are a very good attorney, why do you need to be doing real estate also? Yeah, unless you're a real estate attorney, I totally get it. But like, if you're just, I'm just going to do this because I can and I'll make some extra money, means you're not busy enough as an attorney.
You're not busy enough for either jobs, either hobbies. I want to go into sort of the role of a full-time realtor. So, we talk about the importance of hiring a full-time professional realtor and how crucial it is in today's market. But why don't we talk about some of the responsibilities that a full-time realtor does have? Okay. You're like, okay.
I was trying to find us on Instagram because I know we're on Instagram and all that other stuff live, but I just can't find us. So that's okay.
Oh, well, we'll take a minute to say that. We are live on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn. So we're waving. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Not just live on WATD here this morning. But if you have any questions or you want to join in on the discussion, you can call or text the studio. Tim will patch you right over to us, 781-837-4900. Again, it's 781-837-4900. If you're a little shy this morning, you can leave us a comment on any of our live streams. Again, we're waving. Say hello.
Hello.
I'd love to hear if anybody has had an experience with an agent that, might have not been so lovely. Because it wasn't full-time. They weren't full-time, or they didn't feel like they were getting the full attention. Or, on the flip side, I'd love to hear a story where you had a really great experience.
Because we are full-time.
We are.
And that's the thing, when I was talking earlier about you waiting up until 10 o'clock, I will do anything for my clients, believe me. If it was something for my client, I have been in a parking lot picking up checks at 10 o'clock at night, so it isn't that I'm not willing to do that. It's just that I get a little frustrated, and maybe it's my old age now that like I get a little resentful when I am doing this full time, and I'm doing it full time, but yet the people who are not, their expectation is that I'm going to pick up their slack. So, and I see this a lot in new construction, and you've probably heard myself and Mary talk about this a lot. Now, I'll give you an example. Like last weekend, I was doing some selections with some people, and it was going a little bit longer, but I was okay with that. I was like, you know what? I'd rather that we just were able to sort of wrap this up and finish this up. So I'm willing to stay right now rather than make another appointment. And the agent said to me, her clients had actually walked away. She's like, I have another appointment. Like I might have to leave, or we're going to have to, close this up. But I understand that. She's a full-time real estate agent. She was there at the appointment. She was there for the showing. She went to the open house.
More than one client at the same time.
Exactly. And I said,
that's okay.
Exactly.
We hope you do.
And I said to her, of course, you can leave. I'm finishing up. It will be better anyway. So it will be one less appointment that we'll have to even deal with. So that I had total respect for her because she was, she's working, But the agent who has a full-time job Monday through Friday, they're working 9 to 5 and they're trying to squeeze this in. And then on weekends, they just tell their clients to go to the open house and have fun. Tell me if it's something that you like. And then they call me and say, oh, I can't, this was fun when Mary was on maternity leave. Oh, I can't make it to the selections meeting, but my client will be there. I said, oh no, we'll be rescheduling that appointment. Oh, well, what do you mean? My client can make it. I just can't. And I was like, I will reschedule the appointment when you can make it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because we've had situations with both of our subdivisions. And again, we'll go above and beyond for the buyer's agents so long as they are also part of the process. But I know Mary specifically had one situation with somebody who used a discounted brokerage. And I'm just saying it. I'm not saying the name of any company. I'm just saying, oh, you're going to get money back at the end if you hire me. Okay. And there are many companies out there that do that, or I'm only going to do it for this, this much money or whatever it is. Never showed up. Not one damn appointment did they show up for. You know what they did? The only correspondence that Mary saw was their fee for service. I mean, that's disgusting. And it's sadly for that person. But see, this person doesn't care because they're really not a full-time agent, right? They're doing something else. Mary had so much interaction with these buyers that they actually said to her after the fact, in hindsight, I wished that we had just worked directly with you. It would have just been that much easier.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have, in new construction, represented them as a buyer's agent, but still the frustration that they felt too. You
could have referred somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear from some listeners. 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. I know I had a client that stopped by here the other day. I won't say his last name, but his first name was the same as my husband's, Mark. He stopped by and he said that he watches us on Facebook and stuff. He goes, oh yeah, I watch you on that. And here, Mark, I'm saying hello to you. So if you're watching right now, thank you for watching. I told him to put a little question up or say hi or something, but he said he was too shy.
Oh, come on, Mark.
I know, come on.
Some of the responsibilities I want to talk about a full-time realtor is market research and determining the market value. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of knowing what you're doing?
You sounded like a press secretary in the White House.
I've been watching a lot of videos. Can you talk about the importance of essentially knowing what you're doing when you're giving somebody an analysis?
Yeah, absolutely. So this works both ways, whether we're working as a buyer's agent or we're working as a seller's agent. And when I'm working and honestly, it's done, the same thing is done for both parties. So if I am representing a buyer client, one of the things that I will do for them once they find the house, like I'm not going to do a whole bunch of a whole bunch of research unless you know that this is the house. I mean, it would just be too much work to do every single house that you looked at. And then if we go, you do a drive-by and you're like, nope, I don't like it, then that's just wasted time. So once somebody says, I really do like this house, I mean, I can do some basics, but once somebody decides that they have the house that they want, then I'll go into more research of it. But it is important that the buyer do their own due diligence as well. So there are times where I will go to the town hall, I'll pull the jacket, and I will see like if permits were pulled or things like that. I'll take pictures of things that I find in there. But I do always say to my clients, like, it's really important for you. This is the other thing I don't understand is when people are buying a house, I understand that everybody has to work, but you also have to find time, have a conversation with your boss. Like, hey, I found the house. I have to do a little research. Are you okay with, rather than me taking like a full day off, maybe I can leave work, a few days early or something, you know what I mean? Instead of like one full day off. You don't have to take a full day off to go to town hall. You don't have to take a full day off to do a home inspection, So sort of spread that out. But looking at those types of things is really important. And when it comes to the value of the house, what I'm doing is I'm pulling similar style homes, similar style locations, similar style condition, and putting all of those together and sort of giving a range of where I think the value of that house is. I see a lot of people, actually Laurie was talking about a situation that she had at our meeting yesterday too, and we were talking about, we're going to have a show on having an appraiser on and stuff too, that she did that, and when looking at the comps, like the numbers came in, the numbers were one thing, but then they suggested having an appraisal done, and then the appraisal came in really low. So the people weren't happy with that. And they ended up listing it higher. That's called emotional value, though. I mean, we don't have a gauge for that. But I always tell people here, this is where the range and the value of this house is right now based on sold properties.
Based on market value.
Yes. Yeah. On sold, what has sold. But really, a house is worth what you're willing to pay for it. And that's where the emotional value comes in.
Yeah, I think that's part of the conversation that you have a lot of the times with both buyers and sellers, because it's the buyers that are, what are they willing to offer? What do they want to offer to gauge their emotional value? And when you're talking to your seller, you have to say, this is where the market value is. Potentially, you could get offers higher, and that would gauge what their emotional value would be putting onto the house as well.
One of the things in here, too, in the agenda that you put that I really like is networking with other professionals, including lenders, inspectors, and contractors. But one of the things that I'm thinking about is, and one of the things I love about this office is, and this is one of the assets of that osmosis effect, agents being with each other and helping each other grow, is, if I do, have a client that's purchasing, let's even just say it was Bridgewater. I'm familiar with Bridgewater, obviously. We had an office in Bridgewater. I graduated from West Bridgewater High School. I mean, I was there for 2 years, really, you know what I mean, in the school years. But we have agents, like I would call Kristen and say, hey, and I've actually done this in the past. Actually, I was doing a CMA and I was like, hey, am I missing something on this? Because she's thinking that the value of our house is $100,000 more than what I'm coming up with. And she was able to, tell me about the neighborhood. Oh, I have a friend that lives on that street and this and that, and it's well sought after and blah, 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 blah. And just like sort of confirming my price. Everybody thinks that their house is worth $100,000.
Well, that's again emotional value. So you have to find somebody who wants to be in that neighborhood and values the things that the seller is valuing as well.
One of the things that I don't like to see consumers get into the trap of, I'm going with this agent because, one, they're giving me a discount and they're giving me money back after I buy the house. Like, just don't, it's not worth it in the end, right? Two, the people who, I'm going to go with the agent that gives me the higher price.
Yeah.
Just because somebody give you a higher price doesn't mean that's what the house is going to sell for. That's why, we could do a live show too, where we could do Zoom. I think we attempted this one other time where I do an actual analysis, like online, and how I show people. Like, I go directly into MLS. I'm not just showing up with paper and saying, okay, this is what I think your home is worth. I'm actually bringing you into MLS and I'm showing you where I got the numbers. For the most part, my job is to educate people on what the market is. Home sellers, it's their job to really price the house, not mine.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it, And I wouldn't really necessarily do a show like that. You'd be giving away all your secrets.
Okay. Well, if you want an analysis done on your house, you'll have to call me so I can.
I'm not going to allow you to do that. Yeah, you got to keep some things in your back pocket. Yeah. But yeah, I think that you pointed out networking with other professionals, and whether it's a lender, an inspector, a contractor. Even for an example, Kristen was talking about, an appraiser, and Marianne Trask, who's a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate as well, said, oh, I use them personally. And she met them through Kristen. So it's like, again, the osmosis effect. And, we just have a really great system of, hey, I'm looking for somebody who does this. Oh, I have somebody. Oh, I have somebody. And the thing with, we all know that we're all full-time, we're all professionals here at Boston Connect Real Estate, but, that referral means so much because you have yourself or your clients behind that person that has used them. So that's what I got to say about that.
And that's how we are on our show too, is, when we do have guests, generally speaking, if you're a guest on my show here, it's only because I've used you in the past and I have confidence in you. So,
yeah. Well, we recently were talking about Jasmine. So Jasmine Glasgow from Maritime Mortgage, and we were talking to somebody and referring them and saying, we've used her personally Really. I mean, that is a testament as well. If you have somebody in the industry who is a professional and they use somebody and they continue to use that person over and over again, that person's great. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And two, I remember one time talking to a loan officer and he was feeling a little pressure when I referred him to somebody because he knew my expectations were so high.
yeah, well, pretty much.
Yeah, he failed.
Oh my gosh.
He's a good guy. I think he's still out there in the world.
Well, I think your expectations are so high because you're used to working with somebody like Jasmine who does an excellent job. And the team over at Maritime Mortgage, they do an excellent job. And we have other people as well that do an excellent job. And like I said, we wouldn't refer somebody that we either haven't worked with personally or have referred over and over and over again to our clients, and they've been satisfied.
There was something on here that I think the other thing that's really important as well is, we're talking about the importance of, as an agent, I've been doing this, 22 years now. And, the importance, like I just keep on thinking of those people where they went to that, you don't qualify for a 30 year. So we're putting you in a 15-year mortgage. Just sort of resonates in my head a little bit. And I think that type of stuff probably happens more often than we know. Just people don't talk about it. And I mean, it had to be maybe a different caveat or something that went along with that conversation. I've been meaning to reach out to Jasmine about that. And, but the other part is like, think about that. That's just one stop in the whole process. Now think about the legalities and like the complexities of some of these contracts, right?
Yeah.
And, we do introduce our clients if they have their own attorney. I think that's great. I always say, I don't think that your real estate attorney should be your divorce attorney or, somebody that helped you do whatever,
Casey May.
Yeah, the Casey. Yeah, it shouldn't be Casey.
She's doing excellent at her job.
She does mergers and acquisitions, so she's at least a little bit bigger numbers. But it should really be a real estate attorney. And this goes for several reasons. Now, this happened last year to one of my clients, and I've seen it happen over and over. And I've made the comment, like, I've seen this happen before. Make sure you ask this question, but like a probate attorney. Now, I do know, and I'm not calling out any company or any agent, any attorney or anything. But people, attorneys that are doing probate, a lot of times do real estate, right? It sort of coincides with each other, right? But just make sure that is the case, that they do both. Maybe they have two separate divisions within their company that, one does probate, one does real estate, right? But what's also important is ask how their fee services are set up. So we had one recently in Quincy. I will tell you, I have never disliked an attorney as much as I disliked this attorney. He was rude. He was inconsiderate. He was condescending, not only towards me, but towards my client. He was awful. He was an awful human being. How he is even in the business, I have no idea. You know what? I've actually blanked him out of my life. I don't even know what his name is, which is probably better because I would let it out right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He was mean. He was just, and when I hung up, I was like, it must be terrible to live in that head where you're just always just so mean.
Yeah.
And condescending and like, it was just ridiculous, right? Just his, everything about him I despised, and I didn't trust him because no one speaks to anybody that way in a professional manner. And I said to my client, honestly, I think that you should use somebody else. I know you're using him for your probate stuff, but like, I think you should use somebody else for the real estate. And he convinced her that it was more mainstream, that what would I know as a real estate agent, right? Like me, hey, little real estate agent, stay in your own little lane over there as if we don't have any value or worth. And she went with him. Well, most of our attorneys are paying, like they're getting charged by a flat fee. So I'm just going to make up numbers, whether it's $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, they're doing the deed, they're doing a POA, they're doing, drafting the purchase and sales agreement, they're negotiating the purchase and sales agreement with the other attorney, they're doing all these things. Her bill ended up being like almost $6,000.
Yeah.
Just to pass papers on a property.
Yeah.
He did nothing other than that.
Well, he aggravated you.
Yeah, he did. I'm sort of over it though. It's just
Yeah.
he gets into my head.
It seems like you
He
were over
dead,
it.
he was dead to me the minute I hung up the phone.
Oh
I
my
just, but you
gosh.
know, I can only do so much to try to protect my client. And I said, I don't know. I think, and I said to her, you please ask him what his fee is. Does he have a flat rate fee or is he charging you hourly? Because I've also seen divorce attorneys do that. And I'm not saying that's the norm. So for all the divorce attorneys out there, and you know, there's always one in the crowd, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the norm of what we see, but just ask the questions because the attorney or you know, the loan officer or the real estate agent that isn't going to mind you asking the hard questions are generally ones that are the professionals. The ones that get pissy about your questioning are the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to take advantage of you.
Yeah. It's a good thing you don't know his name.
I know. I
No.
can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He was literally dead to me the minute I hung up the phone. I said a few choice words, but can't say those here.
Maybe in an after hours show.
Mhm.
I do want to talk about like complexities of contracts and negotiations, the legal paperwork, and the importance of understanding those documents for your client. And that knowledge only comes from being surrounded by this day and night, pretty much.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it last week. Even we had Trish Flynn on from Team Flynn. She's obviously, her and her husband Nick are full-time real estate agents here at Boston Connect since the day we opened the doors. And we had a little bit of a conversation about this, about what we can put into our contracts. So like when it comes to final walkthroughs and things, which was sort of a funny thing. I know, okay, you're thinking about Michelle? No, I wasn't talking about it. I just thought of her, but Michelle was really funny at the thing.
We have a caller.
Yes, you can you guess who I have on the line?
Jay.
No, you talked about this guy earlier, saying, "Hey, maybe he'll comment on the." Anyway,
Oh, Mark?
It's
Oh.
it's Shy Mark.
Oh,
Shy. Hi, Shy Mark.
Hi, Sharon.
how are you?
Good, good. Just wanted to say you guys are an awesome team. You and Melissa are doing a fine job, and you guys are awesome to work with.
Well, thank you, Mark. And Mark, so I know that you are shy. So we called you Shy Mark, but I really do appreciate you calling in, and I do love when you drop into the office and just visit with me. And Mark and I had met at an open house years and years and years ago, and he said to me, he had looked at a couple houses, and he said, "Oh, when it comes time to sell my mother's house, I'm going to call you." And I think it was 12 years later, he walked in the door, and there he was. And we recently sold, his mom's house in Duxbury. And it's interesting because I always say that, and I know this may sound hokey or too much for people, but I don't even care. Like, God has a plan, right? And Mark and I are going through some similar things with our parents. And it's so nice to be able to have Mark to talk to. Like when he popped in the other day, I was super, super busy and super stressed, but like he calmed me down. He doesn't even know that he did this, but he sort of calmed me down.
Demeanor.
It really is. He is like very calm. And, but I love when Mark and I can tell stories about what's going on with our parents. But like when we tell the stories to other people, I'm afraid they're looking at me like, you're sort of a bee. Like, I can't believe, like, your father has dementia. Like, what are you thinking? But like Mark and I laugh. Like, I'll say something and Mark's like,
Frank did this today.
yeah, like I'm avoiding my mother right now, right, Mark?
That's right. That's right. One day at a time.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
That is true, Mark.
Yeah. But Mark, I know I won't put too much pressure on you. So if you don't feel like answering, that's okay. But you did hire me and my team to help you, in this process. And I do think, as I said with my dad, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. So I can be, be there and be stronger for my clients that are going through something similar. Mark, were there any parts of the process that you said, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that Sharon and her team were there to help me navigate through this?
Just everything. All the stuff, and you guys are just doing a great job. And I just want to thank you for all the things that you've done,
Oh, well,
and Melissa too.
yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. You are the best. Yeah. And that is the thing.
Thank you very much, and I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
I'll stop
Mark.
by sometime later on.
Yeah, okay. Sounds great. Say hello to your other half for me.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you, Mike.
welcome.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So like what I was saying is with Mark, he is very, very shy. So one of the things I could actually right now, because he's such a good example of like where I am in my career, and he is very shy. And I don't even want to use the word shy. He's just so polite and so kind and just a genuine heart, right? Like he's just an old soul, genuine heart. And what I say is, you don't know what you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know that, right? Like, you know, like you just don't know what you don't know. And I just feel I'm so grateful that he came back and asked me to help guide him through this process. And, you know, for me, like, and again, I'm not self-gloating here, but like to have the patience to sort of step back from how I can be fast and furious. Like, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is bop, 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 bop. Understanding where he was in the process and being able to sort of slow myself down to say, do you fully understand this? Is there anything else that me and my team can do to help you? You know, and there are definitely things that we did for Mark that we normally wouldn't do in other transactions, because you pick up where you can at any point.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, that was great.
And we're grateful for Mark.
Yeah, 100%.
We only have a few minutes left, so
Yeah.
any pressing things that we want to talk about? It is really snowing now.
It is really snowing. It's really pretty out.
It's really pretty. I don't want
No.
to drive in it though.
Yeah. No, I don't think, you know, anything pressing. I just think, you know, sometimes it's hard to come on here and say, you know, we're talking about the importance of hiring a full-time real estate agent, and it isn't because I'm putting down the agents who are not doing it full-time. Well, sort of I am, but it's like, if you have another job and you're not taking this one seriously. So I guess that's really my point is, why would you hire? Well, okay, here's a good example. I'm a full-time real estate agent. I say this to people. So while you're at work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that's my job. My job is taking care of you while you're not in those hours. So with real estate agents, we tend to work those 9 to 5 with everybody and all the, you know, proceedings that have to happen, the attorneys, the loan officers, the home inspectors, all that. Then after hours, answering questions for clients, weekends, meeting with clients. So we're doing this. Our job is real estate. That's what we're doing while you're at work, so you don't have to do as much.
Yeah. Would you hire a part-time surgeon?
No, absolutely not. I gotta tell you, you know what?
That important.
Yeah, but like honestly, like my OBGYN, right, the person that delivered Kenzie, he was like semi-retired. I was like, I wonder if he has to keep up on stuff. You know? You know?
I don't know. It was just something that popped into my head.
Yeah.
But some of the other sort of things that we have to consider, you know, when you're being full-time is, you know, overpricing or underpricing a property. And that's due to the lack of knowledge of the market. Also, poor negotiation skills.
Can we go back to that one, though?
Yeah.
With the pricing. I want to talk about that, though, because if somebody walks into your home, a real estate agent, first of all, walks into your home, and if they don't give you the agency disclosure form first, that's your first sign that they're not doing this the right way. It's a state mandated form. It's not even a contract. In fact, you don't even have to sign it. The agent has to show it to you. And I tell that to people when I bring it up. Don't worry, you don't have to sign it, but I have to show it. But if an agent comes into your home and says, well, what do you think the value of your house is? Ding, ding, ding. Light bulb should be going off in your head. Isn't that why I'm there as a real estate agent?
Isn't that why I asked you to come to my house? So you can tell me.
Exactly.
I do that full time.
Exactly. So then when I sit down with people before I have my number, I will ask them then, like, what do you think the value of your house is? I already have it done. I know what I think it is.
And most likely they're going to those third-party sites and trying to get numbers that way.
The algorithms of those things are just so messed up. Yeah. But then when I am sitting with them, I will ask them just so I can show them the difference. You know, like, this is what you thought the house was worth. Look at this house on MLS versus yours.
Yeah. I also want to say poor negotiation skills usually results in a loss of a deal or less favorable terms for their client. And we see it all the time when you get an offer that is absolutely insane and you don't have any other offers.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just like, you could have just asked the question like,
Do you have
hey,
any
do you
other
have any
offers?
other offers?
Do you know how many times that has happened?
I know.
Seller's agent, my job's to get you the most amount of money.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was thinking about, we had so many shows on the NAR settlement, and now the difference between, the buyers, compensating the buyer agent directly, but it's still in our contracts, the buyers can request that the buyer's agent, pays the compensation, I don't know, that there's a whole process of that, like how I could save sellers money, but like don't come right out and say exactly what you're willing to pay. Let the buyer's agent negotiate for that.
Yeah. Well, some can't.
I know, it's crazy.
Final thought, because I do want to talk about an open house today.
Yeah, no, you can go on to the open houses.
Perfect. So Faith Birmingham, who's a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate, has a brand new listing. It is 85 Summit Street in Halifax. She is doing an open house, an extended open house today from 10 to 2. That is on the market for $1.1 million. Again, it's 85 Summit Street in Halifax. Open house is from 10 to 2. I was looking at all the pictures. There's so many pictures. It's such a gorgeous house. I know Mark has done some work over there, and it's a beautiful house and it's a beautiful property. So somebody who gets that is very lucky.
You said that was Faith, right?
That's Faith.
Yeah.
Faith Birmingham's listing. And then, of course, we have Cushing Trails and Cochise Estates both today and tomorrow, every Saturday and Sunday. Cushing Trails is in Hampton. That is from 10 to 12 every Saturday and Sunday. And Cochise Estates is in West Bridgewater every Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 2.
Yeah, and Sue Bollinger will be doing the open house from today, 10 to 12. And then Kristen Howlett will be doing Saturday and Sunday over at Cochise this weekend, because I am in back-to-back selections. In the past week, we've gotten 4 reservations.
Back to back.
We've gotten 4 more reservations for those developments. So, if you're thinking about new construction, give me a call, 781-294-4848. If you would like me to do an analysis on your home so you can see where you are to get to where you want to go, 781-294-4848. The other thing I wanted to say too is I don't even want to call it an ad, because it's not about that. It's an item of value that I put in the Council on Aging, the Pioneer, their newsletter. And, I give tips and things for seniors, regarding scams and, how to clean out your house, and should you put an addition on versus stay, age in place. And I did get a great phone call this week from somebody who saw my item of value that I put in there. And, my conversation with them was, it's probably best for you to stay where you are rather than sell your house. So I know most real estate agents don't say
do
that.
that a lot.
It's more about helping you where you are to be where you want to be. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you guys next Saturday.
Yeah, have a good one, Tim.
The South Shore's breaking news, weather, and traffic station, 95.9 WATD FM, Marshfield.